like I felt like I came out of that day the biggest winner of the day. So I was planning on doing a walk and talk with you today at the park in the lovely trees, getting some exercise. And I go to walk out the door to do it, and it's hard to tell from this, but it's raining. Best laid plans. Yes, I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Yes, it's in the middle of June now, and it's raining, but that's why it's always so beautiful here. Anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about today was something that happened to me this past weekend, and it was completely unexpected. And I am so glad it happened, and I want to tell you about it. And I want to tell you why I'm so happy about it. What happened was a few weeks ago, my sister-in-law asked me if I wanted to hang out with her at this local fun run, 5K, 12K kind of a thing in Tacoma. And she was responsible for setting up a little bit of the course and mostly just cheering the runners on. So I said, sure, sounds like fun. It was an early morning on a Saturday, but that's all right. Let's do this. So we lucked out, got some really great weather. Anyway, what we did was we showed up, we set up the course, and as the runners started coming by, we were cheering them on. It was a lot of fun. I gained a lot of energy. I'm about to have a car driving by with some noise, so hold on a second. We cheered people on. It was a great day. We were done by 10:30 in the morning. I was all pumped up, and I got home and started to tell my husband about it. And it was clear that I had so much energy. And although I was exhausted and my voice was all but gone. And when I was telling him about it, he said, it sounds like you spent a lot of time saying a lot of positive things over and over again. And look at you. Look at how energized you are. Look at the smile on your face. And so we had that conversation, and I just thought, oh my God, you're so right. So I started really thinking about it. Didn't take long to figure out that what actually happened was I spent 3 solid hours saying positive affirmations over and over and over again, like 200 plus times. I said things like, you've got this. Go, you're amazing. I see you. I see you working hard. You're doing so good. Keep going. And on and on and on. And it's like sitting in the mirror saying positive affirmations for 3 hours. And I've done positive affirmations before. Very rarely actually do them in the mirror, but said positive things out loud and encouraging things to myself out loud. But like once or twice. What happened this weekend was this sheer repetition of it, and the energy that I gave to it actually impacted me in a deep and meaningful way. And I want to get back to that, but I want to make sure that I also note the other thing that happened was that even though I am an introvert, oh, look at the sun's coming out. Wow. But even though I am an introvert, and here I was in a situation that was, very extroverted, where here I am with a bunch of strangers kind of shouting at them, going, go, go, go. In the beginning, it was kind of like shouting in the crowd, which is very much an extroverted kind of a thing. But when they were on the return back, after they had already run 10 or 11 kilometers, which is like 6 miles. Hold on, here comes the truck again. After they had already run most of the race, they were exhausted. They were breathing hard. They had looks of agony on their face sometimes. They were struggling, not to mention it was not only towards the end of the race, but it was also a complete uphill at this point. And man, that hill was tough. And what I began doing at that point was really, because they were coming just a couple people at a time instead of en masse in the beginning of the race, I got to look each one of them in the eye as they went by. If they glanced over towards me, I got to really make eye contact with them one-on-one and say, I see you, you're working hard, keep going, you can do this. All the positive things, but I got to really connect with them for like 2 seconds or 5 seconds at the most. Sometimes maybe a few minutes, a few seconds longer if they kind of slow down a little bit, but really made that more human connection. And that really appealed to the introvert side of me. I'm making a big deal about this introvert extrovert thing, but it comes into play for sure. But so, really made these intense but incredibly brief connections with people. And it really fed me. So many of them said, thank you, thanks for being here, thank you for cheering me on, them giving gratitude back. And it was so powerful. And I just, what it did for me was gave me, for those moments and for that day, it gave me a real sense of purpose. Here these people were doing something really hard, working really hard, struggling, and I was able to, for just a second, give them a little bit more motivation, give them a little bit more energy, let them know that they weren't alone, that at least metaphorically I was walking beside them. And wow, that was really powerful. And it reminded me about finding ways to create a sense of purpose for yourself, especially, when you're not working a full-time job, and you don't get purpose from um, solving problems and doing those things in the workplace. It was really, really important and powerful for me. So I wanted to make sure that I thought that through and talked with you about it. Anyway, kind of going back to the positive affirmation thing, I've always believed in it, but didn't really do it. I kind of didn't think I needed to do it. I'm a pretty upbeat, self-confident, self-appreciative person anyway. And so I like the idea of it, but I didn't really ever put it into practice in a really, really solid way. But wow, did I get the benefit from saying over and over and over again, you've got this, you can do it, I see you. And that feeling, I just embodied that feeling for the rest of the day effortlessly. Like it was spectacular. And I still carry some of that with me now at several days later. And what I've decided is that I'm going to commit to myself to doing some of this, to actually making this part of my normal practice, whether it's daily or, a few times a week or whatever. And I wanted to share this with you because so often we hear about these um, mental health hacks, you might say, and yeah, they kind of make sense, but you don't really, give them too much credence. And this just absolutely blew me away. And so, although I was sitting in a chair very passively compared to the people who were running in this race, um, I was actually running this race with them and winning. Like I felt like I came out of that day the biggest winner of the day, even though I didn't have a medal around my neck, or I didn't run the course. I actually won that day because man, did it impact me in just the most surprising, amazing way. Anyway, yes, I hear you. So I wanted to share that with you, and I wanted to encourage you to find ways to do that in your life. And circling back to the fact that I said yes to doing this, it didn't necessarily sound all that much fun, but my sister-in-law had to do this. And so I wanted to be there for her. I wanted to, it was going to be a great opportunity to hang out with her. Had to be there before 7 a.m. And I am not a morning person, so that was a bit of a stretch for me, but I'm so glad that I said yes. And it reminded me of a book that I read a few years ago, and of another time that I said yes to something that I wouldn't normally have said yes to. And it really paid big dividends and really benefited me. And the book is a book by Shonda Rhimes, who has done many amazing TV shows over the years. Bridgerton is her most recent one. Grey's Anatomy was another. Anyway, she wrote a book. I think it was called The Year of Saying Yes. I'll link it in the description. But I read that book a few years ago, and it really inspired me to start saying yes to things. And so here's a little bit of the story that of what I said yes to last time. Okay, so I followed my own advice, and I said yes to something that is pretty out of my comfort zone, nothing I've ever done before. And I am on my way walking down this beautiful road in Mexico, in Sayulita, to go be in a fashion show, modeling a garment that I made. And it's all made out of garbage and discarded items, recycled items. And this is my journey. Here I go. And there's another interesting piece to this, because the idea of saying yes to everything, so that's what the book was about, is just saying yes to things and not overthinking it and taking advantage of opportunities. And I really believe in that, and I felt the benefit of that. The flip side to that, though, is that saying yes to everything can actually be quite toxic. If you're busy already, if you've got a full-time job and you're raising kids and you're doing all these things, saying yes to too many things can overtax you. And it can, sometimes you're saying yes for the wrong reasons, because you think you have to, or you think you should. And you say yes to things that just suck the energy right out of you. And so saying no is really, really important too. And I'm kind of sort of stuck in the middle there of thinking, like, how do I reconcile those two things? How do I say, man, saying yes to these things that didn't, they weren't a full on hell yes for me, but man, I walked out of it saying hell yes, like that they were amazing opportunities. How do I reconcile that with, when your gut says to say no, say no? I don't know. How do you think about that? How do you think about what to say yes to and what to say no to, and what's your thought process? And I'm going to be digging a little bit deeper into what my thought process is there, so that I can better understand how I want to make those decisions going forward. It's another part of growth in whatever part of life you are, but here I am. So I'm curious, how do you think about whether to say yes to something or to say no to it? Let's talk about it. Have the conversation, drop me a note in the comments below. While you're at it, if you're here still, thank you for saying yes to watching this video. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Drop me a comment. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next time.